What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And you are back with another timely episode of Liquid Carnage. What's up, my friend?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. I'm having a good Monday so far, or I guess a good part of the week. How are you doing?
The same. It's a short week. We are cruising into Labor Day weekend, the official end of the summer. Fall is upon us, and I know in Kingman, I can walk out the door and I can feel the crisp 90-degree weather and know that fall is right around the corner. We've dropped from triple digits, at least for now.
We're at 90. We were at 96 degrees, and it feels amazing. So I'm happy.
Yeah, the part I don't like is the cock tease of monsoons that are still out there because we haven't had all but one monsoon all season, but the humidity is still showing up in the mornings and in the late afternoons. So you get that I don't want to call it almost like a feel like you're out by the ocean where you get that breeze and a little bit of moisture in the air. But we're getting that, but no moisture whatsoever.
Oh, okay, yeah, we aren't either. We're getting a lot of wind though, and so we're feeling it. We're feeling it.
Just typical end of the summer stuff here in Arizona, but you know what? That's cool. Sports that's in full swing. The basketball playoffs are heating up. I've checked out on that for numerous reasons. The Diamondbacks were huge sellers in the trade deadline, so I pretty much checked out on baseball. Thank God football starts in 2 weeks, and thank God for the Golden Knights of Las Vegas.
Yeah, thank God for those. Yes, we survived not one but two national conventions, so those are behind us now. So we can start getting the real mudslinging to start.
Right, and there were two very different conventions too. Even for being virtual and online, they're two very different feels.
Oh yeah.
And I watched that. I watched the DNC highlights, and granted, both parties are trying to promote hope and peace, and at least their versions of what they're trying to say, peace, and trying to tell us that the other side will prevent that from happening if you vote for them.
Yeah, that's true.
But I noticed the biggest similarity or the biggest difference I noticed in this was the acceptance speeches between the nominees, between Biden and Trump. Biden did his with no audience, very limited audience, all virtually. The whole DNC was virtual. President Trump decided to use the White House as a backdrop and invites the GOP to whatever lawn that was or whatever the background was or foreground, and basically had a massive nomination party with no masks.
Yeah, no, they did not. I mean, I didn't watch either the convention, but only because I figured that at this point, if you don't know who you're going to vote for and you're still on the fence, then you just might as well not vote, because you after 3.5 years, if you don't have an opinion at this point of who you're going to vote for, then we got bigger problems. I
agree.
So I figured that there was not going to be anything that one or the other would say that's going to sway the mind of 95% of the people that are out there anyways. So game on, baby. Game
on. We are 2 months away from the election.
But why do you think that they did that? Like, because I mean, I did notice that the Democrats did do it virtually. Like, there was never a crowd, right? Mm-hmm. It was just them. Versus the Republicans did have crowds and did, like you said, if they had no speeches, no masks and stuff. Isn't that kind of? It's like you're almost putting the subliminal message that COVID is not real. We're not worried about it, so you shouldn't be worried about it either.
Yeah, I get the distinct feeling that we're seeing the GOP push this as we've handled it, we've taken care of it, we've beaten it, we're on to the next thing.
Okay. So that I guess is significant. I mean, obviously the cases are coming down, which is good. So maybe, all the social distancing and masks and closing down shops and stuff for a time seems to have a positive impact on the numbers, and in the meaning of the numbers go down when we do that. So that's good.
Yeah, it does. But if you look at it, there's the argument that's been made for the last few months. If masks work, why do we have to shut everything down? And then you hear the argument, well, masks don't work. That's the way to shut everything down. So if the masks aren't working, why do we have to wear them?
Right. Yeah. Well, Arizona just opened up, and after they opened up on Friday and Saturday.
Arizona did not open up. Maricopa County opened up.
Oh, really?
Only 7 of the counties of Arizona got to open up.
Oh, and Mojave wasn't one of them?
We are not one of them.
Oh man,
We do
we
not
have
meet.
movie theaters open now too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we don't. We have to go to
Ooh.
Nevada because we don't meet the criteria per 100,000. So they are trying to push
Oh.
additional testing up here so we can drive our numbers down. We've had maybe 10 cases total over the last week. We have a less than 2% rolling 7-day average
Okay.
for Kingman. And the problem is Bullhead with all the California tourists and tourism with the river right there in Laughlin. They see consistently a huge uptick of patients of COVID. So we are not allowed to open yet. So while you have freedoms at a less capacity, we still don't have bars, movie theaters, water parks, and other things that he won't allow to open. And
I think it is kind of interesting though that I mean we're 6 months in now, right? We're
yeah,
coming up on 6 months in, and if at this point in our careers we're still having the argument of whether we should close everything down, having masks, or what, it seems kind of ridiculous to me that we're still having this discussion. Like, just wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, that's fine. Then don't go to a place that you might get sick or might get someone sick. I mean, well, I still don't get what the big fight is about this. I mean, it seems like when you wear masks and social distance, the numbers go down. When you don't do that, the numbers go up.
well,
So
it I think it starts at the top that we have a leader that has only been photographed wearing a mask once and will change his tune as the wind blows to fire people up just for something to do. And I don't know if he ever totally bought into this virus as a pandemic. And that's part of the problem. So you have his loyal followers, and they are very loyal to a weird fault, by the way. I think we know that. And, if they start thinking this thing is a hoax, they start passing on less people wear masks. And I live in a community that's very heavily invested in President Trump. And it's interesting to see he has very ardent followers that refuse to wear masks because he won't, but then he still has followers that will wear masks with his name, plastered all over them.
And I personally am at a point now where I'm going to do my part. I'm going to stay home as much as I can. I'm going to social distance. I'm going to wear a mask. I'm not going to go crazy anymore. If someone doesn't want to wear a mask, hey, that's your choice, and I can choose not to be around you. That's fine too, right? I can
Yeah,
make that choice.
yeah.
But for people to keep saying it's a hoax, or oh my gosh, this isn't real, or it's just ridiculous at this point. Like,
It,
it is real. There's 6 million people that will tell you it's real, and then there's 180 or 190,000 of them that won't be able to tell you it's real because they died. So
yeah. Well, that's
I
the
mean,
other.
at some point, it's like I'm done arguing with people about, oh, should you wear a mask or don't. You don't want to wear a mask? That's fine. I don't have to hang around with you. I mean, I can choose to wear a mask. I shouldn't beat you up for not if you're not going to beat me up for wearing one. So
That's the other part that I've been confused about over the last week is the CDC has done an about face on their regulations for getting tested for COVID. It went from if you've been exposed to somebody, you should get tested. If you have symptoms, quarantine, all that. And now they changed their tune to where they're saying unless you've been exposed to somebody and you have underlying conditions, you don't have to worry about getting tested. You don't need to quarantine. So it's almost like they're washing it away. Like they're just changing the whole attitude, the whole tune to it, to where now they're claiming they've just done more research and this is what it is. But if that was the case, would the numbers have been lower between all the tests they had, or were they never really that high, all things considered?
yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't hear that, but that's interesting. So now they're saying that they've learned new things about the virus. And they said that even though you come in contact with someone, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get sick. So instead of just immediately rushing to get a test, wait and see if you get exposed.
Yeah, but those would be our production assistants. They are building a house right directly behind me. Hey, stop. They are building a house right behind me, so I do apologize for them chiming in. There are people currently on the roof within their line of vision, so they're freaking out.
I understand completely, my friend.
But no, if you look at the whole Republican point of view on this thing now, or listen to their messaging, they're treating it like it's past. They're treating it like we've beaten it, we were on top of it, we have moved on and conquered this villain. And I don't think that's clearly the case, because if that was the case, everything would be open. we'd be back to normal. We'd be allowed to have fans and stands at sporting events. We would not have to have masks on. This would be all said and done. Am I wrong in that thought process?
Well, I definitely don't think you're wrong. I guess I'm at a point where I feel like for the people who take it seriously, then they're not going to go to. You could open up every football game to 100,000 people, and there would be some people that will not go. I think the vast majority of people would not go.
It's funny. I read an article last week because they're talking about college football because not every college football conference has canceled their season yet. And I think it was a beat writer for the Big Ten, and they were talking about how they wanted to go. They would pay to go see one Ohio State game this year. Like they would pay to go to the Horseshoe, and they'd sit in the bleachers, even at a reduced capacity, and they'd be good with that because they got to see a live football game this year. But if they got offered to go see multiple games, their answer would be no, because they're willing to take the risk on some level, but not on a consistent level like that.
Yeah, interesting.
So I think that to me it's an interesting dichotomy when you think about those thought processes, that you're willing to expose yourself on that level once, but multiple times, I don't know. I mean, so that tells me there's still somewhat of a moral conscience of what are you doing for your part? Is that still necessary?
Well, and I think it goes even further for us. I mean, we do a pretty good job of social distancing, but I got to tell you, we went out with a friend recently who we went to a restaurant, and she said it was the first time she'd been anywhere out since March. Now, we've gone to restaurants a few times, and I have to admit, one of the times we went to a restaurant, it wasn't social distancing. Every table was full. Every table was full. The bar was full. And we were a little self-conscious about it. So I think that, that everyone has to make a choice about how they want to feel comfortable doing it. But we've been to restaurants a few times, and, I think we're cognizant of it. So, I mean, I know that when Noreen and I go to a place and we see some place that's a little more crowded than we feel comfortable with, we'll definitely be cognizant of it. But our fear level isn't nearly as much as our friends who that was the first time she'd been out in 6 months.
See, that's weird to me. I've been,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been back in restaurants since May, and I don't think I've missed a beat with it. I just don't. I understand the risk, but I also understand that I'm healthy enough to where I can overcome this if I were to get exposed, but I'm not stupid about it though either. Does it make sense?
Yeah. And I guess that's the underlying thing that I think is troublesome is if our governor, for example, or if a leader, for example, says, hey, we need to take it seriously. It's not a joke. We can do things very safely. We can still do things, but we need to be open and cognizant of it versus it's no big deal. Just go on. It's no different than the flu. Just move on. I think that message even says a distinction between just telling it that's a hoax or saying, no, it's real. We got to take it seriously, but you got to be responsible and do it. So
what do you do then when your governor is photographed at a prime event, I don't know, like the RNC at an acceptance speech, in a huge crowd not wearing a mask while he's telling the entire state he governs and has shut down that they need to mask up and be socially responsible? I mean, what kind of message does that send?
I do feel that the message is not I don't want to say hypocritical, but it's definitely double standard.
Yeah.
Like I can go and I can have, be, telling the people of my state that, you can't go to a gym because it's too much danger, but then me go to a place where the leaders of the free world are sitting there and there have been cases of congressmen and senators getting COVID. So I don't understand the logic, and I'm not sure what kind of message it sends. Maybe do as I say, not as I do. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I said. It's a weird dichotomy, and it seems like as this goes on, that there is a clear sense of burnout by the population. It's almost like, all right, fuck, man, I don't care. And you are hearing less about it in the media, but that also has a lot to do with the rioting. that's going on again because of the shootings in Wisconsin and so forth. So now that's, just like what happened back in Minneapolis at the start of the summer. It's like a bookend. Now that there's been another unnecessary death in the Midwest, people are starting to riot toward that, and the pandemic is taking a back seat to that, which is odd to me.
Yeah, I think that I think it's got to be difficult for leaders to come up with the right message, and especially for our leader. I mean, unfortunately, his focus is from a business perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything revolves around business and the economy, and we all need to make money, and we all need to, and all these other things are noise, like the COVID's noise, political unrest is noise. Love me because I got our economy moving, right? Or I got that. That's and so when you're exposed to a topic that you're not comfortable with, I'm sure it's much more difficult to form the message that resonates with people because look, COVID's not important to me. I'm not afraid of getting sick. You guys shouldn't be afraid. What's the big deal? It's like flu. You know what I mean? So he that would be a struggle as a politician to try to deal with that messaging and discount that there are people who are actually very afraid of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Or who are going to take that very seriously. So like our governor, I feel like that. I think what it is that when it comes down to it, the certain skill sets that some of our leaders have, unfortunately, their skill sets don't resonate or value. They don't have value to me.
Yeah. No, I agree with
You
that.
know what I mean? So,
yeah.
so I'm sure that for people who think, yeah, economy is the only thing that's important. Let's drive the economy. Everyone needs to make more money. The message that comes out of, well, just go back to work. Like it's no big deal, or go back to school. We got to get back in school. We got to get back to normal so we can get our economy up and going. They're like, yeah, rah, rah. That's what I want to hear. So,
yeah, that's the problem I've had with schools this entire time. They won't allow students back in school, but they can have daycares fully loaded for the last 6 months. And those are now the places where kids are going during the day having to do their schoolwork. So again, that doesn't make sense to me either. It's like, there's so many contradictory things that our government's doing. I just don't know. It's enough to make you question what's actually going on.
Do you think that the government is playing with the CDC or enforcing them to say a different message now? Or do you think it's really the CDC's new information that allows them to make this determination?
I think they're being strongly encouraged to change their tune on everything.
Right.
Because had that been the case for for COVID, for standards of testing, we never would have been signaled as a pandemic. The whole world never would have shut down for 2 months. It just doesn't make that big of an extreme about face doesn't make enough sense to me to say yes. The ends justifies the means in this case. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, I was watching some news story about COVID, and they were saying that in the last 3 months, a lot of the protocols for caring for these patients doesn't have anything to do with the ventilator. You basically get fluids, so you get steroids in these people immediately, and so their care has even changed in the last 3 months to what it was in the beginning. So, maybe there's something to be said that you gather more information, you realize, okay, we go way overboard and then we come back. Maybe that's what the thinking is.
And if that was the case, that'd be fine. Like, I'd be okay with that. But this is such a 180. Now, if you gave me 45 degrees or 90 degrees and then built up to the 180, I'd buy it. But to go from, nope, if you've been exposed, you need to quarantine and get tested, to, if you feel symptoms and you have underlying conditions, get tested. Otherwise, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Suck it up.
Yeah.
That kind of about face is what's concerning to me.
And frankly, I mean, like you said, I do feel that we have had some conflicts here in our state with some businesses can stay open and everything just goes normal.
Yeah.
But other businesses get shut down. Like, why does a Home Depot or a Lowe's get to stay open, but a gym can't stay open? That they've moved their machines, social distance, limited the number of people that can come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get the logic. I mean, I do feel that if I was a bar owner or if I was a gym owner, I would be kind of upset. Here you're sitting at a RNC acceptance speech around 500 people with no mask on. That's fine, but me doing my social distancing and wearing my staff wearing masks, and that's not okay to
Yeah.
keep open. That I get it. I get it.
I don't know. These are all just things that make me go, over the last few weeks. So I just figured this is a nice platform. We're back on track. We had been off a week recording. So our topics weren't exactly timely. They were a little bit off for the last month, but I just feel like this is kind of a nice conversation to get us back on track moving into the fall season. But with the fall season comes one of our very favorite times of the year, Jason, football season.
Yes.
And it's weird.
Yes.
It's weird not having a preseason this year because I've always used the preseason to gauge players for my fantasy football drafts, just to kind of get primed. That's where I checked out on baseball because usually baseball is the only thing that's going on this time of year. And have you looked at anything yet? Have you? Because
I have to be honest. I have not watched one sporting event since this started. I haven't watched a basketball game, baseball game. I haven't even watched the hockey games. So I haven't. I feel like I'm going to probably be a little bit more passive this year in football, just because I've kind of I haven't gotten into it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I'm going to get excited, but I think there is something to be said about it is different, and then a couple of weeks ago, all that stuff happened in Wisconsin, and then the basketball NBA and the WNBA like basically just stopped playing. You know what I mean? So when during the playoffs, when a team just says, you know what, something is more important than this, I'm not doing it, and putting themselves at risk and putting their teams at risk and their owners at risk to make a statement, it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds because, basketball, that's great. I guess they canceled some hockey games, some baseball games, but if they start canceling football games because of this, it'll have an impact. I mean, we had a friend that basically cut out a couple of years ago when the one player was kneeling. He just basically said, "I'm done with football. I'm not watching it anymore."
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I think by the time the regular season rolls around, that the moment for that would have passed. It won't be timely anymore, and I understand what you're saying with the players, and I think the NFL handled it very well, where they gave players a day for reflection and to figure out how they could better serve their community. But the problem I have with stopping a game, like you fought to come back for the playoffs, and I understand this is a tragic thing. But if you refusing to play a game is your only way of protesting, and you're not going to give any of your own money, put any of your own skin in the game, it's a hollow protest, in my opinion. And a lot of these players have spoken up, and they've mentioned and talked about how things need to change, and I agree, they need to change. And they have a platform to incite change, to invoke change. But if they're not going to put any of their own money into the game, if they're not going to put any of their own investments into helping their communities that they're in or that they're from, it's a hollow publicity stunt as far as I'm concerned.
Interesting.
See,
that's interesting because I looked at it the other way. I think they did risk their careers. Colin Kaepernick made a statement and his career was destroyed. So to say that they didn't put anything into the game, I don't think that's necessarily a true statement. Maybe the big players didn't.
Hear me out.
Make that.
I wasn't talking about Kaepernick. Kaepernick's given millions upon millions of dollars to homeless foundations, homeless funds. He's fed the homeless. He's been working this entire time for what he believes in. I'm talking about these players in the NBA currently that felt they needed to make a statement, but I don't hear them starting their own charities, their own programs, putting their own money in the game. I heard them chastising the NBA for not putting more money into programs that supports community services. They were complaining that the Players Association didn't put enough money in. Well, if that's not enough money, an average player in the NBA makes $4 million a year. if that's an average player, do you need $4 million a year to live?
Well,
If you can't take some of those funds and put them toward a cause you truly believe in, then it's hollow to me.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I don't know. I think that I think that I don't know all of the players and what they do on the out, on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that LeBron James probably has some charities.
He does. And he started that school in Akron, and he was very vocal on Twitter about what that school stands for and what he's going to do with that school after all this. And that's fine. LeBron can run his mouth because he's going to back it up.
Well, and I got to be honest though. So the major stars make the money, but I bet the smaller players, the role players, don't make the kind of money, and they are more expendable for a team to say, you know what, we can get role players anywhere. You're gone. So I think there was a risk to be taken. I really feel like there was a risk, but I think more importantly is the message it gave people to say, wow, these are multi-million-dollar players who have expanded well beyond any of the turmoils that are maybe going on with other members of the community, and they're taking a statement to say something has to change. Maybe let's get rid of this leisure sport that really in the whole scheme of things doesn't mean that much, and let's make that as our statement.
And that's fine, because that's them cutting themselves off the nose. That's why I don't think the NFL will do anything, because their contracts aren't guaranteed. You're not on the active roster that day, you don't get paid.
Right.
So all these other sports have guaranteed contracts. You get paid whether you show up or not.
Right.
So these players have a lot more to lose than the NBA players do. And like I said, I'm not trying to take away from the severity of what happened or the message they're trying to push out into the world. But my point is, put your own skin in the game. So you skip the game. It doesn't make a difference if the whole NBA does it. You had the league by the balls at that point. And then to threaten to walk out and cancel the entire playoffs because you're mad, you don't feel safe. No, shut up. Knock it off. That's an emotional response. I get it, but grow up.
Yeah, just like this sounds like an emotional response.
Dude. It is. It gets me. Like, I understand. I said from day one, if you have the platform, you can make a change. Do it. Use it. I fully support it, but make sure you're actually putting your money where your mouth is. That's why I never had a problem with Kaepernick doing what he did. He put his money where his mouth is. And half these guys in the NBA, they won't. They won't do anything like that. They just want to say that they're standing up for something. But if I see any charities pop up to support community services, I will be impressed if they did that on their own.
I don't know. Sometimes, if you would have told me 6 months ago that I'd be okay with wearing a mask all the time outside, I would have said you're crazy. Yeah. Things happen that change our vantage point, and who knows what kind of things might change because of these events. These events are, we have so many things going on right now that I know that I've been asking, what more can I do in my community? What more can I do to be more involved on things that are important to me? I know that, maybe this is a eye-opening experience on both these events, COVID and all the unrest that's going on, that I think a lot of people are going to open their eyes to doing something else. I really feel like they will, because it's life-changing. These are life-changing events.
Well, in that case, I hope they do. I hope they take these events and they find a way to find a positive in it and make a positive change. But
I hope so.
My whole point is, it's one thing to say you want to make a change or a change needs to happen. It's another to actually go out there and be a part of it. And if you have the means and you have the way to be a part of the change you want, then you need to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I know, you're no worse than the other side that's inciting everything.
Yeah.
No better.
And I agree with you there. I agree with you.
So anyway, as we wrap this up, sorry if we got a little heated there at the end. I'm sure our EP Tom will have something to say about that. I do again apologize for our production assistants. They're very excited to see roofers on the other side of the brick wall. But as we roll into the fall, the first part of September, just a few days of summer left, hit us up with your favorite summer adventure if you had one. Send us a picture. tell us a story. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, all at Liquid Carnage. Or if you want to send Tom, our EP, a pretty picture of where you live and why he should move there for his next adventure, hit him up on Twitter and Instagram at liquid_EP.
Well, hey, everyone, be safe out there. You know, be safe for yourself, be safe for each other. Obviously, Scott and I will be safe out there with you. We're feeling all the pain too. So thanks for listening, everyone. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Carnage.